So it is a completely different skill set that I had no training in whatsoever. As a creative, as a solo creative, you're really good at your skill set, right? And then you go out on your own and suddenly you're like, oh, wow, I actually have to run a business. And that is a completely different skill set. And I'm now Googling, like, what is a P&L and do I need one? And figuring out those. And then transitioning to hiring people was really a completely different skill set too, hiring and managing.
Welcome, Shannon.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. I'm excited to be here.
Good. Yes, I'm excited for you to be here too. And, I'd love to know when you went from working in the restaurant industry to founding your own full service marketing agency, what was the moment that made you realize you were ready to build something of your own?
I actually, as much as I would like to say I had this grand aha vision,
Yeah.
my path didn't really start like that. I, going back a little bit, started in the restaurant industry just as like a job to wait tables through college. And I got my degrees in communications and marketing.
Hmm.
And through that, got a marketing internship position with the restaurant chain, and then became their first marketing and events coordinator. And then after graduation, became their full-time marketing and events coordinator, and did that for 4 or 5 years. And in that time, started freelancing on the side. But like when I was in college, in my mind, I thought like the only path that I could ever do is graduate from college, get a big corporate job, work my way up the chain, retire at 65 with full benefits, live my life. Like I had no idea there were other options out there. And then I got this job in restaurants doing marketing. And part of my job was going out into the community and meeting people, being the face of the organization, figuring out how they can get more involved. And I met a lot of people that way. Um, and through that, a lot of other business owners saw what I was doing with PR and social media for this restaurant group, and asked me to help them on the side too. And I was like, oh, yeah, I guess I could do that. Didn't know that freelance was a thing, didn't know that people did it. And where I am here in Memphis, not many people were freelancing at that time. I think I was the first like true social media freelancer in the city that I was aware
Hmm.
of. So I started, freelancing on the side in addition to my day marketing job, and, woke up a few years later and realized just by word of mouth, my freelance had grown so much. I was working two full-time jobs. I was going to my day job during the day, working 8 to 4, coming home, brewing another pot of coffee, petting the dogs, sitting behind my desk, and then working another 8 hours at night doing all my freelance work. And quickly realized that was not sustainable. As a 25-year-old, you have a lot more energy, but I realized that like I could not do that full time for forever. And I thought, you know what, like if I have done this with the support of a day job, and now I'm making enough to be able to support myself without the day job, one has growth opportunities and one doesn't. And I chose the path of freelancing. I kind of came into this fork in the road of, do I, give up the freelancing or cut back and go this corporate route that I thought was the only way, or do I give this other thing a shot and kind of see where it goes?
Hmm.
I chose to give it a shot. And now we're in our 10th anniversary this year. So I've been out on my own for 10 years, and we're a full service marketing agency with a team. Yeah.
That's amazing. So you said one day you woke up and you're like, okay, I'm working full time
Mhm.
and I'm freelancing. Clearly it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Was it the growth that really led you to let go of that full-time job, or was there something else happening at that moment?
Um, I would say it was mainly the growth, but
Okay.
part of the great aspects of my day job was I got to do everything involving communications. Like if it involved marketing, writing, community, menu design, website building, whatever it is, it all came to me. And that was my first real job in the field. And I got to see exactly what I really loved to do and exactly what I didn't love to do, what I was good at, what I naturally wasn't that great at. And I could hone those skills. And so I took that time to hone the skills, figure out what I really loved to do, and then narrowed my freelance to that work. And then I thought, okay, maybe one had growth opportunity and one didn't. Like there's only so many ladders you can climb doing marketing for a local restaurant group, and I realized one had more creative freedom, one had more scalability, one allowed me to pick and choose exactly what I wanted to do and who I wanted to do it with. Mm-hmm. And, my freelance was now at a place where it had grown to where I could support myself and then continue to grow from there. So there are lots of different benefits to it for sure. But yeah, the flexibility, the creative freedom was great at the time. One, I love to travel, and 2 weeks paid vacation was never enough for me. I was like, that doesn't get me anywhere. I want to be gone a lot more than that. Mm-hmm. And I had my grandparents were sick in the hospital at the time, and I wanted to be able to help my grandmother and my mom out. So when I left my day job, I was able to go to the hospital during the day, bring my laptop with me, work a little bit while I was there, do what I need to do to caretake, and then come home and kind of wrap up and work some more then too. So there were some life circumstances that definitely, pushed me at that time too. But yeah, the creativity, the flexibility, all of that was really important to me.
What fears did you experience as you were looking at this crossroads and making a decision?
Sure. So I'm a very risk averse person. You may not think that knowing everything that I've just told you, but I fear change. I don't take it very lightly. And my biggest fear was, the doomsday approach of what if this all collapses tomorrow? What am I going to do? So having to realize, but I think that the way that I did it really helped me in that I had a financial cushion and I had something to support me while I grew this. I didn't just jump out on my own with no safety net and figure it out. I had something to sustain me. So then from there, sometimes I still have those doomsday approaches, every now and then, like, what if it all collapses tomorrow? But the thing is, I know that I'm a hard worker and I know that I can figure it out. And I know that in the role that I am, like, creatives are creative for a reason, right? We tend to problem solve and figure things out. And, if it all does collapse tomorrow, there are other things that I can do. But I've never had to face that. So.
That's great that you're seeing the fear of the doomsday and then you're saying, okay, I hear you, but let me acknowledge that I'm a hard worker, that I will figure it out, that I'm a creative. This is what creatives do. I can problem solve, and it will all work out is really what I hear you saying, even if something goes awry. But thankfully you're in a position. So you went from freelancing to having your own agency. So what did that transition look like?
Sure. So it was another slow, steady growth process. I didn't just say, one day I'm done just working for myself and the next day I'm opening an agency. But when I started freelancing full time, continued to grow slowly by word of mouth. And it got to a point where it was too much work for me to handle on my own. But I love the opportunities that were coming my way. I love the clients that I was working with. I'm a naturally curious person, and I love the opportunity to learn a little bit about so many different industries. And I didn't want to confine myself to just doing a specific amount. So I thought, okay, well, if there's this much opportunity, there's only one way to grow because there's only one of me. I should start hiring help. So about a year into doing this full time, I hired someone part-time just to assist me with some of the social media work and kind of train them up. And when they reached capacity, I ended up hiring someone else. And then we just kind of grew by capacity that way. And then in 2021 was the birth of my daughter, and I went on maternity leave. And at that point, I had 4 part-time contractors working with me and helping me out. And they were all trained up in a place. I did a lot of due diligence to make sure that I could go on maternity leave and leave them in control of everything and be able to, not have to worry that things were going to go crazy. So I did. I had my daughter. I was completely off work for 4 months, allowing my team to take care of everything. And I came back and things were great. They were smooth sailing. And I realized, I could trust these people to do things. And the fact that I am still going by my name, Shannon Little, at the time, wasn't fair to me, and it wasn't fair to them, because they were doing so much of the work and they deserve to be at the forefront. And I deserve to be able to take a step back and take some time with my daughter and focus on some other functions of the business, and to be able to represent us as much as we were an actual agency at the time, just operating as a freelance name. So I reached out to my branding colleague and said, like, hey, I'm back from maternity leave. I'm ready to redo the entire business. Let's do this. She's like, you're about to birth 2 babies in less than a year, but okay, fine. And so we did. We went through a 9-month branding process to come up with Campfire Collective. And then in March of 22, relaunched from Shannon Little to Campfire Collective as an agency, and was really able to bring the faces of the other team members to the forefront of what we do, because they're incredible at what they do and they do a great job, and they deserve to be recognized for it. And we deserve to be recognized as a team of people who are doing the work.
That's wonderful. And so the name of your company is Campfire Collective. It feels symbolic. What does the name represent to you, and how does it reflect your mission as a leader and creative?
Sure. So I did not start with the name Campfire Collective. Like I said, it was a 9-month branding process, and it was just me sitting down and saying, here's who I am as a person. Here's who I am as a leader. Here's how I approach business. Like, let's come up with something representative. And what those conversations looked like was, one, Campfire represents the way that we approach clients and approach projects. So we are different than a lot of agencies in that everything we do is custom and boutique. We don't come in with a series of packages and a series of ideas and say, we're going to do this, 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 and this for you. Like, often those first few meetings are, imagine us sitting around a campfire with clients and with our team and with their team, just exchanging ideas and brainstorming and like figuring out together exactly what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. So my meetings are often a little loosey-goosey compared to some others, in that, we come with an agenda, we come with some ideas, but I'm more reacting in real time to what they're saying and listening to clients and then figuring out how to approach it. And it's also representative of how we work on campaigns together as a team. So we think about building a fire and what it takes to build a fire. You first do a lot of prep work. So you go and get the kindling, and you go and get the logs, and you build it, and you make it this shape. And then you light a match or you light a lighter, and it ignites. And that's the start of the campaign. But then we have to keep it going, right? So you have to fan the flames and tend to it to make sure that that campaign still burns bright. And we do it all as a collective, and collective means, again, it's not just me, but it's also not just my team. It's, a series of other agencies and colleagues that we work with. We bring in brand professionals, website professionals, photographers, videographers, and we call them our collective because that's how we operate as a full service agency. And we consider our clients part of the collective too, because we bring them into the creative process.
Wonderful. That's beautiful. I love that. So transitioning from a hands-on contributor to a team leader is a big shift. So what's been your biggest aha moment about leadership since building and managing a remote team?
So it is a completely different skill set that I had no training in whatsoever. As a creative, as a solo creative, you're really good at your skill set, right? And then you go out on your own and suddenly you're like, oh, wow, I actually have to run a business. And that is a completely different skill set. And I'm now Googling, like, what is a P&L and do I need one? And figuring out those. And then transitioning to hiring people was really a completely different skill set too, hiring and managing. And I think my hospitality and restaurant background helps a lot there because it's all about teamwork and it's all about customer service. And I love hiring people from the hospitality industry because they bring those soft skills into what we do.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely, I think the biggest lesson learned is hiring people for the roles with the skill sets they have. So again, going back to hiring people from the hospitality industry, I may hire somebody with less experience in the marketing world, but they have a lot of those soft skills that I know I can train on the actual technical skills. But do they have a great attitude? Are they passionate? Do they care about the clients? Are they customer service focused? Do they have the ability to get in and problem solve and figure it out and just get it done? And those to me are much more important skills than the technical aspect, because the soft skills you can't teach. The technical skills you can kind of hone and refine over time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, wonderful. So that's been very helpful for you building your team.
Absolutely, it has.
Good. Okay. So as your team grows, how do you maintain a sense of creative intimacy and connection when everyone's spread out virtually?
Oh, that we are spread out virtually. We do have moments of connection throughout the week, though, and I think
Okay.
those are really important. So we have Monday team meetings every Monday afternoon, and they're on Zoom. So we see everyone's faces that way, but we get to engage and interact that way. We have Slack communication that goes on all day, every day. We are still all, we don't live across the country, thankfully, because a lot of the work we do is local. So we get together pretty regularly. Like we co-work together once a week. We do team field trips together where we just close our laptops and go explore and have fun together. We'll do happy hours. We do a big Christmas or holiday party every year. So I try to find those moments of connection because those personal connections also contribute to better work in the end too. If people know each other, respect each other, then they work together better in a professional setting. But
So it sounds like you do still get together in person. And so are you all within the same region essentially rather than spread out all over the US, for example?
yeah, we're all in the same region
Okay.
for the most part. So we're all within driving distance for sure. We don't we don't have a physical office. I don't make people come into a physical office every day. I want people to have that flexibility. But if we need to get together, we can certainly do it. And with the type of work we do, we have to be like hands-on with clients a lot too. So social media often requires you to be in person, experiencing things, interacting with the team, getting content, shooting photo and video, covering events live. Same with PR and public relations. Like we have to, manage those media relationships and go with clients to TV interviews. So I say that we don't have an office because we would rarely be there. We are so out and about all the time that it really doesn't make sense for us to be in one place.
Okay, great. Wonderful. So you faced recent budget cuts and shifts in client priorities. So, how are you reimagining what it means to deliver value as a marketing partner in uncertain economic times?
Oh, it is all about the pivot at this point. We did it once during the pandemic.
Mhm.
As I'm sure some of your listeners know, like when it comes to budget cuts, like vendors are the first to go and marketers are the first to go. So we are in the pandemic, we learned how to pivot and shift and use some of the skills we have that may not necessarily be the most priority right now to help clients in other ways. So we became operational consultants and figuring out how to help clients pivot their businesses to still be relevant to people. We became crisis communicators and having to communicate every day what the changes are, how we're adapting. And that's kind of what we're doing right now too. So we're pivoting to figure out, maybe social medias can't be your priority right now, but are there internal things that we can help with? Are there operational aspects? Can we assist your events people? And really just being flexible and pivoting and kind of opening things that we would typically say, that maybe we would refer elsewhere or that may be outside of our skill set. We're learning how to do, and we're adapting, and we're helping out however we can. Because, again, we're creatives, we're problem solvers, and this is just another problem to solve, right? So what we're doing.
Do you think that there's any positive outcome that came out of, I can't necessarily say now because we're still in it, but maybe looking, if you have seen anything now, or looking back at pivoting in the pandemic, anything positive that came out of it for your business, for your clients, for your team, for yourself?
Sure. Through the pandemic, we definitely gained a lot of new skill sets for sure. So we expanded what we did and how we did it. We didn't host Zoom conferences before the pandemic, but now we can do that, for example. So there's a lot more offerings that we can offer now too. As a leader, I would say in the position we're in right now, because we've had to scale back, it's allowed me to go back to the basics and reimagine what we do and how we do it. As you're growing a business and as you gain more experience, you can look back and say like, oh, I would have done that differently now that I know, or, oh, I would have handled this differently. Well, now I can, as we're regrowing and reimagining, I'm doing it with more experience under my belt, and I can do it in a different way. So we build back better this time, and we can do so more sustainably. So I wouldn't say that these economic uncertainties are a blessing, but I do say that there's silver linings to them, and there's learning experiences in all of it. And if you personally can't change it, you have to look at like how you're going to benefit from it and how you're going to learn from it and how you're going to adapt.
Wonderful. Yes. And sounds like you have the right mindset for that, which is really important.
Yeah, mindset's everything. And you got to have those mindset tools in your tool belt too. Like I don't just come to these realizations out of nowhere. Like I established a journaling practice probably a year ago, just a daily morning journaling practice that has helped me like kind of sit back and reflect and look at the bigger picture. And it's helped me be able to pivot and problem solve in these times. Like I didn't do it back then knowing what I know now, because, a year ago, things looked a lot different, but it's helped me now. My meditation practice has helped me now. Like my, looking at things differently and affirmations have helped me now versus when I started them, so taking those tools and making them consistent practice, I would say is just as important as any technical skills as a business owner or creative.
So talk to me about your journaling practice. Do you use certain prompts? Like what encourages the direction of your journaling, and how much time do you invest in doing it each morning?
Sure. A big believer in journaling. For those of you, not an ad, but I started journaling when I read the book Buy Yourself the Effing Lilies by Tara Schuster and fell absolutely in love with it, and then read her second book too. And then ended up becoming part of a coaching program where journaling was a big piece of it. And it kind of forced me into a practice. I needed that structure to be able to do it, but I wake up in the mornings and it's the first thing I do, because if I don't do it first thing in the morning, it doesn't get done. I just start my day and I'm go, 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 go until I crash at night and can't think anymore. And it helps me kind of frame my day too. So I first just kind of get out all the thoughts in my head. And if anyone's ever read The Artist Way, it's a lot like morning pages. Um, so get all the thoughts out of my head. Here's what's spiraling and spinning in me right now, which helps calm my mind. Then I have a gratitude practice, and I list 5 to 10 things I'm grateful for every single day. Then I go into another tool I use, which is affirmation scaffolding, which helps me get rid of some of my core negative beliefs. And then there's usually a prompt that I go to every day too. So within the coaching group, it's whatever we're working on at the time. Like, we just got done working on self-compassion. Now we're working on work personas, and all of these are really timely to things that are going on right now. So I would say all in all, I probably spend, it depends, like during the week, when it's a weekday and I have a million other things that I have to get done and I'm on a schedule, I'll take 20 minutes, 30 minutes maybe. On the weekends, when I have a little more time and my mornings are a little slower, I love it. And it's a luxurious time for me, and I can spend an hour or two journaling. But I think as long as I get those at least 20 minutes in, it helps me, my mindset for the day.
That's great. And then do you follow it with a meditation?
Then I just like a simple 3 to 5 minute breathing meditation and just kind of process everything I wrote and then set it up for the day. So less than 30 minutes, and then I'm on with my day.
That's great. And it's interesting that 23 minutes of your time in the morning can really set you in that right direction, provide a clearer mind, a calmer self. So when you started implementing these programs in the morning, did you get up earlier? Was it easy to start integrating it into your day? How did that transition look for those who have a set morning? They get up, they get ready, they run out the door, or they go to their computer for their morning meeting, whatever their typical. Sometimes people can't even imagine squeezing something else into their morning. So how did you manage to make that transition?
Sure. I mean, that was my attitude right before I started. And it took a coaching program to rewire my brain on how this would work. So I see you and I feel you and I validate you. I will say over time, the way I've kept consistent with it is because it has shown me that spending 23 minutes doing this in the morning makes me way more productive throughout the day. So by spending 23 minutes, I actually save like 2 hours because I'm not spiraling or distracted or overthinking things throughout the day. I can just kind of do things. But getting started, it did involve me like getting up earlier, and it was a slow process. Like, I would start getting up 5 minutes earlier one week. And then the next week I'd get up 10 minutes earlier. And then the next week I'd get up 15 minutes earlier. And I just gradually increased until I got up to half an hour. Like, I have an almost 4-year-old, so my mornings are chaotic. Like, I'm running a business and trying to get her to preschool, and she's in the age now where she has to try on 80 different outfits before she can leave.
So cute.
For the day. Yeah.
For me, I'm imagining it's cute. Yeah. In the moment, I'm sure it's not cute.
It's cute when you get her to school and you look back on it and you're like, yeah, that was really cute. In the moment, you're like, can you just pick out one dress?
Right. We got to go.
We got to go. But she wakes up at 6:30 every morning, just naturally. So I get up at 6, and I have a coffee maker that has a grinder set in it, and it's on auto start, and it starts at 5:50 every morning. So when I get up at 6, the coffee is ready. So I get out of bed, take my meds, chug some water, pour a cup of coffee. I'm in my little journaling chair by 6:05, and we're going for the day.
I love that. And I love that you're leaning into a structure of support with the coaching program that you're involved in, and you talking about the importance of rewiring your mind, right? That's so important. And I hear that you had resistance starting to incorporate that into your schedule, your daily schedule. And once you did, you realized this 23 minutes saves me 2 hours of
Mhm.
distraction, spiraling. So that's so valuable. And in addition to creative and marketing recruitment at Elysian, I'm a certified dream builder coach and life mastery consultant. And the coaching that I am certified to teach is all about rewiring the brain. And it's not necessarily essentially what it is realizing those limiting paradigms, those blocks, and then
Mhm.
replacing it with attitudes like you had mentioned that are more serving for you at this point because we're always evolving and growing, right? So as you look back on your journey, what's
Mhm.
one lesson you had to learn the hard way, but are now deeply grateful for?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say um, learning when to say no was really, really hard for me.
Mm,
And honest, if I'm being honest, it still is hard for me. I just now know that how important it is. And that can be, applied to a lot of different things. So learning when a client isn't a great fit for me and me turning down work, like when money's staring you in the eyes, it's really hard to say no. But knowing that they would be a better fit elsewhere or my skill sets are not quite what they need. Like learning to say no actually benefits me because it helps build that relationship both with the potential client being transparent and honest and with the person I'm referring them to. Or if it's saying no to, a lot of creatives get asked all the time to do free work for exposure, right? So learning how much pro bono work I can do and where I'm best serving based on my interests and saying no to all those other opportunities because I am very much a soft heart person. And if you come to me with a compelling story, I'm going to be like, yes, I want to give you everything. Um, but then I'm working for free all the time and not making money, and that's not
mm,
sustainable, and nobody wins. So learning when to say no to, a potential hire that I absolutely love and think they're wonderful and know they're going to do great things, but they're not quite the fit for the role that I'm hiring for. Um, just being able, that discernment took a lot of time and a lot of decisions that I would have done differently, but it's been incredibly valuable. And it goes back to what I said earlier in that, these economic times are kind of a blessing in disguise because now I do have that discernment and I have learned those lessons and I can go back and build differently this time and do
mhm.
it with a lot more ease and a lot less stress.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. That's wonderful. So, for creatives who want to build something of their own, but
Mm-hmm.
feel overwhelmed or underprepared, what's one truth you'd want them to remember as they take the leap?
It's a process.
Mm,
Um, don't think that you have to have it all figured out today and that you have to be completely successful today. Like baby steps, one step at a time. It's those small incremental changes and those small incremental learning lessons over time that help get you where you want to go.
yeah, and that's so important, especially in
Mhm.
in a culture where it's about instant gratification, right? And I think
Yeah.
we hear this so much. It's like we have the microwave, we have Amazon, we always look for those options for the next day delivery, right? We don't even want to wait 2 or 3 days. What can we get the next day? But it is a process. A flower doesn't bloom overnight. A plant doesn't grow overnight. It's the same with us. It's a process. And it can be fun, right? The
Mhm.
journey rather than always getting to the destination.
Yeah, I mean, it's a career path. It's not a job, right? You don't have to jump in and know everything you're doing. Like careers
Mm,
take time to learn and develop. So it is. It's a journey and enjoy every part of it. There's always a new lesson to be learned. There's always something to keep you on your toes. And that's what I love most about what I do is every day is a little bit different. And if you're getting bored, you're doing it wrong. So just enjoy every little piece of that.
is there anything else you'd like to tell our audience today?
If anyone is risk averse like me or kind of questioning whether you should do it or not, I encourage you to give it a shot. Um, don't let fear stand in your way. Maybe have that safety net. I know Adam Grant talks a lot about that and like making sure you're stable and have that foundation and then experiment with things on the side so you're not completely overwhelmed. But it's really fun and really rewarding. And when I went out on my own, I had a colleague tell me, like, welcome to the business ownership world. The highs are a lot higher and the lows are a lot lower, but it's a lot of fun and I wouldn't have it any other way. So that encouragement that people need, I'm here to give it to people.
And to be inspired by other creatives, be sure to watch this video where you'll learn more tools and gain inspiration and motivation to go for your dreams. You can do it. I believe in you.